and welcome back to Flutter for Designers. My name is Sai, and in this section of the course, we'll continue to build our app. Taking a look at the Figma file, in this section, we'll be implementing the top portion of our app. So let's get started. Heading over to Android Studio, let me make some minor changes first. We'll be aligning our widgets vertically, so let's wrap the recent course card in a column. I'll select Option and Enter on my keyboard and select Wrap with Column. Next, let's set the background of the container. After container and its set of parentheses, I'll press Enter, type color, and then type K background color. I'll select that and make sure the package constants is important and press Save. Now, this is pretty good. However, because we have the safe area at the top, you can see that our color isn't spanning the whole width of the device. This is pretty simple. Place your cursor over the container widget, press Option and Return on your keyboard, and select Swap with Parent. Now, if you press Save, the color is there, but the widgets inside still respect the safe area. This is because we simply switch the place of the container widget and the safe area widget. At the bottom of the file, I'll type STLESS to create a new stateless widget, and let's name this Home Screen Nav Bar. And going back up to the My App class, within the column right before Recent Course Card, I'll type Home Screen Nav Bar. And then I'll press Save. Now we can get started on building the navigation bar. First, I'll replace container with row. I'll press Enter, and then I'll type Children. The first widget we'll be building within the top row is the sidebar button. For that, I'll be using the widget Raw Material button. First, let me remove everything that's inside the parentheses and press Enter. The first property I'll set is Material Tap Target Size, and I'll set this to Shrink Wrap. This is so that when we tap on the button, it'll only tap on its content and not everything that's outside of it. Next, I'll set Highlight Color to colors.transparent, as well as the splash color. Let's set some constraints for our button. I'll type constraints and box constraints, add a set of parentheses, and set max width to 40 pixels and max height to 40 pixels as well. Finally, let's get on with decorating this button. I'll type child, and then I'll type container and add a set of parentheses. As usual, we'll type decoration and add box decoration. The first property we'll set is the color, and for this, we'll type colors.white. Next, we'll add a border radius. For this will be a border radius.circular with a value of 14 pixels. Finally, let's add a shadow. For box shadow, I'll add a list and only provide one box shadow item. I'll type box shadow, add a set of parentheses. For color, I'll use the K shadow color. For offset, I'll use an offset of 0 pixels along the x-axis and 12 pixels along the y-axis. And finally, for blur radius, I'll provide a value of 16 pixels. Finally, all that's left is adding the icon. For this, I'll type child at the end of the box decoration. I'll select image.asset and provide a path to the icon, which in this case will be asset/icons/icon-sidebar.png. And I'll press save, but there's a little more left to do. Within image.asset, we'll provide a color of K primary label color. And we'll also add a padding, edgeinsets.symmetric, and provide a horizontal padding of 12 pixels and a vertical padding of 14 pixels. That's much better. If you tap this button now, nothing happens. So what we have to do is at the top of raw material button, after the set of first parentheses, we'll type on pressed, and we'll provide a function. We'll add a set of parentheses, add a set of curly brackets, and for now we'll type something simple, like print sidebar button pressed, and we'll add a semicolon at the end and press save. Now, if we tap on this button, you can see that Flutter is printing out the statement. That's great. We have our first widget complete. Now, this raw material button code is getting a bit long. So let's put our cursor over it, select Flutter Outline from the pane, control click on the raw material button line, and select Extract Widget. And let's name this Sidebar Button, and hit Refactor. So you can see that our sidebar button has been created below, and that way our home screen navigation bar is easier to manipulate. If we press save, everything should be the same, but let's add some padding. I'll put my cursor over row, select Option and Return on my keyboard, and hit Wrap with Padding. I'll remove the const keyword and replace the 8 pixel value with 20 pixels. There we go. Now, before we create the search bar, let's create the notification button and the profile picture button. Within row, after sidebar button, I'll add a comma. I'll press save so everything gets refactored. And now let's create the notification button. It's really simple. I'll type icon, add a set of parentheses, type icons.notifications, and this time I'll provide a color of K primary label color. I'll add a comma at the end and press save. Now let's add the profile picture button. This is similar to how we created it back when we were creating our sidebar screen. I'll type circle avatar, add a set of parentheses, set the radius to 18 pixels, and add a background image of asset image, and provide a path to the profile picture, which in this case will be asset/images/profile.jpg. And press save. Now all of our widgets are tightly packed over here, but we can easily fix this. After the parentheses, after the row word, I'll press enter, and then I'll type main axis alignment and set the value to main axis alignment dot space between. This will provide equal spacing in between all 3 widgets. That's great. Now let's create the search field widget. After sidebar button, I'll press enter, and then I'll type search field widget and add a set of parentheses and a comma. We'll get an error because we haven't created this widget yet. In between home screen nav bar and sidebar button, I'll press enter, and then I'll type STLESS. Then I'll name this search field widget. Our error should disappear, and if I press save, we should see that there is an extra gap in between the sidebar button and the notification button. So now that we have defined the sizes for the 3 widgets, I want the search bar to take up the rest of the space. So I'll put my cursor over container, select Option and Return, select Wrap with Widget, and then type Expanded. So it'll take up the rest of the space. Within container, I'll type child, and then I'll use a text field and add a set of parentheses. Let me add a comma in between these 2 parentheses and press save. And you can see that we have our text field here. But let's style it up a bit. Now within text field, inside the parentheses, let's set a few properties. I'll set cursor color to K primary label color, and then I'll decorate it. Just as containers take box decorations, text fields take input decorations. I'll set the icon to icons.search, set the color to K primary label color, and set the size to 20 pixels. Next, I'll type border and set it to input border.none. I'll set hint text to search for courses. This will be the placeholder. And I'll set the style of the placeholder to K search placeholder style. I'll add a comma, press save, and our icon is added. And now, if you remove the text we entered earlier, you can see our placeholder. Let's set the style for our main text, and this will be K search text style. Now, to detect changes to whenever a user types something in the search field, I can add the property onChanged. And here we'll provide a function that takes in an input and we'll name it new text. We'll add a set of curly brackets, and for now we'll type print new text. If you add the semicolon and then press save, every time you type something, you can see it printed over here. I'll put my cursor over text field. I'll select option return, select padding, remove the const keyword, and set it to edgeinsets.symmetric, and only add the horizontal value of 16 pixels. Next, let's decorate the container. Inside the parentheses, I'll type decoration, box decoration. First, I'll give it a color of colors.white. Next, I'll add the border radius, and I'll set it to border radius.circular, and add a value of 14 pixels. Finally, I'll give it a box shadow. And for this is going to be just like before, where we added only one box shadow, gave it a color of K shadow color, added an offset where it's 0 in the x-axis and 12 in the y-axis. And then I'll add a blur radius of 16 pixels. Finally, let's add the padding. I'll put my cursor on container, select Option on my keyboard, select Wrap with Padding, remove the const keyword, and instead of all, I'll type only. For left, we want a value of 12 pixels, and for right, we want a value of 33 pixels. And that's it. To finish off this section, let's add some padding in between the notification button and the profile button. I'll scroll up, and in between icon and circle avatar, I'll type sized box and provide a width of 16 pixels. And there we go. We've been taking a look at stateless widgets, but in the next section of the course, we'll take a look at stateful widgets and build the rest of the scrollable list for the recent course card. I'll see you all then. Thanks for watching.